Now, if you've been inconsistent in the gym and hating what you look like in the mirrors for years now, there's a high chance you've fallen into the skinny fat phase. Because of this, you're not sure what to do next because you can't bulk because you have too much body fat, but you can't cut because you don't have enough muscle to see. So what do? Don't worry, in this video, I do a full outline on how you can get out of the skinny fat phase as fast as possible. Phase 1. Assess your current situation. So what we want to do first is we want to optimize our calories and macros. So we're going to optimize our current calories and macros for muscle gain out of the skinny fat phase. So for example, if we were 85 kilos, we were 180 centimeters tall, we also factored in our current activity level, which if you're skinny fat is probably low. Then we can chuck that into a macro calculator, which will give us an estimate of roughly 2,700 calories as the maintenance. The whole goal of phase 1 is to hit our maintenance and stay at that point for a sustained period of time. So if you were 85 kilos, 180 centimeters tall, and your current activity level was low, the maintenance calories would be 2,700. So that's the goal we're shooting for. But what about the macros, you say? Well, don't worry, mate, because we figured it out for you. So first and foremost, we want to figure out our protein level. That is the most important. In this case, that would be 85 kilos times 2.2, which spits out some random number like 187 grams. But for the sake of making it easy, we'll round that up to 190 grams of protein. Now, the second most important, in my opinion, is the fats. Again, now it's a bit more of a range on this one, 0.5 to 1 gram per kilo of body weight. For the sake of this example, we'll take the middle range being 0.75, times that by our current weight, 85. It spits out 63.75 grams. But because we're lazy and we want to make this clean, we'll make it a clean number, 65 grams. Last, but certainly not least, is the carbs. And for that, all we need to do is fill out the rest of the calories with the carbs to make it 2,700. If you're not sure how to work this out, most of the macro calculating websites will work it out for you, but this is a general guideline I suggest you stick to. It's much more accurate than the percentages, because the percentages on macro splits tend to get a bit weird when you're eating a bit more calories. So now we have our baseline optimized macro and calorie split. We want to aim to get to 2,700 calories, our maintenance, with a macro split of 190 grams protein, 65 fats, and 340 carbs. So the next step is to calculate what you're currently eating, which if you're skinny fat is probably not much. Let's be real, you're probably not doing too much. So let's assume in this case, this here person is eating about 2,000 calories on average. It's the average daily adult intake anyway, so we'll use that. And what we want to do now is we want to bridge the gap and go from 2,000 calories to 2,700 calories, which for someone who is new to the gym and new to nutrition would be quite hard. So you have to taper it up slowly. And there are two options I can give you for this. There's a more aggressive option in 6 weeks or a more conservative one in 8 weeks. So if you went for the 6-week one, you'd start off at 2,000, then you'd increase by 100, increase the next week by another 100, and from there on, increase by 200 until we get to week 5, where it's another 100 to 2,700 calories. Now, if you take the 8-week approach, which is the one I recommend for everyone, it's just simply 100 calories extra every single week until you reach your maintenance calories. Now, phase 2, which is the plan away from skinny fatness. What we need to do is we're going to eat at our maintenance level for 16 to 20 weeks. Why are we going to do that? That's because if you're skinny fat, you've probably never trained or been on a nutrition plan consistently enough to see results. So just by the way of consistency, it'll be enough stimulus to build muscle and lose fat. And it gives you an opportunity to focus on building a good routine with good habits that you can take with you into your training in the future. So during this time, don't overthink the weight fluctuations, let them happen. Just let it be. I promise you're building muscle and you're burning fat at the same time. The reason why it's 16 to 20 weeks and not a solid number is because there is some uniqueness to the starting point of the individual. Some people will be worse off than others. Some will have better genetics than others. Some will respond better. So in general, 16 to 20 weeks, gauge how you're responding and go from there. And then after that time, we will arrive at a choice. Do we want to bulk or do we want to cut? I will always advise the bulk, but some people just want to get lean and have abs. They're not really too interested in building muscle. So if you're that kind of person, go for the cut. For everyone else who actually wants to build some muscle and get big, go for the bulk. So if we're bulking, we're starting on 2,900. That's a 200 calorie increase on our maintenance. From there, we'll slowly taper up 200 calories every other week until we get to 16 weeks. By that point, you would have gained a good bit of muscle and you can go into a reverse phase, which all it means is bringing your calories slowly back down towards your maintenance, eventually getting into your 12 to 16 week cut where you will get lean and finally have muscle to make it worth it. Now, the option 2 for the other people who just want to get lean, not really too interested in getting big, is just a straight cut. It's the direct opposite from the bulk, slowly tapering down your calories, eventually going into a reverse phase and bringing them slowly back up to your maintenance calories once more. And from there, I would probably advise you bulk, but if you're happy where you are, just being lean, athletic, and healthy, you can maintain that, no problems. Final takeaways and key points to remember during your time getting out of the skinny fat phase is to focus solely on consistency. That is something you've been lacking for years, and that is why you haven't seen progress. So please take the focus onto consistency. The plan I just outlined will not work unless you show up and do the work. This is gonna be a big one for a lot of people, is to avoid the weekend binges. It's easy to stick to the diet for 5 days and then go on Saturday with all your mates and absolutely destroy it. So be wary of this. There is room for balance. You just need to know how to do it. In fact, I've written a whole ebook on how to do it. So if you come this far in the video, comment down below and I'll send it to you completely for free. Another thing to note is that everyone's starting point will be different. Some people will be built better suited towards programming, the gym, training, building muscle, losing fat. It's just how it is. You just need to recognize just because someone's progressing faster than you or progressing slower than you does not make you any better or worse than them. Another big one is you need to set realistic expectations. This is not a quick thing. It's not going to happen overnight, and it's certainly not going to happen in a couple months. There's a lot of work that goes into building a great physique. You just need to recognize that and take that on board. Finally, a note on bulking, cutting, and maintenance cycles. These are things that I think are foundation blocks for people to learn. This plan that I've outlined will take you through all 3 cycles so you get exposure to all of them and their benefits, so that when you're at the end of the program I just outlined, you are able to make an educated decision on what you would like to do next for your physique.